awakening powerful, full spectrum masculine men. I've been waiting for this for a minute, you know? I think a full spectrum came out of my mouth over a year ago while I was in Bulgaria, but I was thinking of it, considering this, identifying what that would look like and feel like beforehand. We'll say even 6 months before Bulgaria, but then it was like, okay, this is the path. And so for this little short live, I want to speak to those men because I'm in the presence of them now. I'm holding space. I have programs that men are moving through and they're activating that aspect of themselves. Awakening. It's a consistent, journey, and they're consistently doing the actions that promote what it is to continue to awaken their consciousness by the way that they live, by what they commit to, by what they break commitments to, and who they're allowing around them. They're healthy. These men want better love, sex, yes, sex, relationships with their family, with their partners, as well as more finances and abundance. But what they're looking at is, yes, we're going to get the abundance financially, but there's also another type of abundance, another type of currency, even though you might just see money, but they are the money, they are the currency, and they recognize this. These men are looking to be more honest and have real fulfillment in their life. What does that look like? Looks like they're not going to put up with unhealthy relationships, but they'll do their best if they've already committed to a relationship. But if it's not aligned, they're going to step out of that. Why? For the next generation, for the sake of their legacy, for the fact that they like healthy. And healthy means you have to make choices sometimes to put yourself in alignment. These men choose life. I did a fantastic live, 2 lives past couple of days, but with my brother Juan, and then today with Source. Man, I have so much respect for this brother. Why? Because we've been on a similar journey. The journey was having dis-ease presented to us, maybe a shorter time, going through that contemplation and making the choice to choose to live. And not only to live, but like to reflect on, to decide to unlearn and choose to learn how to learn and implement what it is for us to show up at this time. And now we've passed a certain time where, of course, we're still students of life. Hear that in the background? It's my hydrogen water, my Hydrolux. We're still students of life. And as we navigate this, we're also now in a position to begin to teach and to share some of what we've learned experientially. And we can articulate it with what we'll learn as well. But there's something different about the learning that comes from experience, that's actual wisdom that does get to be put into play. And so it's late. What is it, 9:18 my time? I'm going to sign off soon. But I wanted to speak to this now. Ladies, I hold space for women too, and men. And, in the beginning of this journey, I would say, let's think about 6 years ago as I was focusing, and then maybe even 4 years ago as I began to go deeper in the soul deep intimacy sessions where I was holding space again for men and women wanting to get closer. And they said, I want more intimacy in my life. I want to be close. I want to navigate what that looks like. I want to be able to get through my conflicts and get to a better space of connection with myself, with my partner or partners, with the environment. And so what I've seen over this time in holding space in the men and women's groups, the men's groups, and even holding some space where it's just women and me, women who are open to me, being vulnerable and sharing, but also receiving and pausing to sit and to feel like, whoa, what is actually being said? And, the women would ask the question like, oh, why can't I find a good partner? What is it that these men really want? Or they're like, these men are idiots and I don't really care what they want because they're dumb, kind of thing. Like I'm not really vibing with the men in this space. And I think we're a little bit in between. Okay. The awakening man is going to get very clear on what he wants and he's going to present that to you. Okay. And it's not from a space of, trying to domineer you, but he will be dominant in a sense because he knows that he can get what he wants out of life, and he's gonna get that. I am gonna receive what I want out of life. I want healthy. I am gonna have a healthy relationship. I'm gonna be profoundly in love with partner. The person I choose to walk with is gonna be someone who I can build with, who I can reach out to, who's not insane. There are many ways that we are cuckoo in this world, but at least we'll be the same kind of cuckoo to a degree. Someone who I can listen to and reflect upon, because I can pretty much learn from anyone. But they'll also be able to receive my light, the delight, their vessel will be honored, and there'll be enough, of a way that this person carries themselves that they can actually receive. They'll have some insights as to what they should do with themselves and whatnot. Ashley, I'm happy to have you on here as well. I've come off of some deep meditation and, of course, giving thanks. And I'm speaking to this navigation between men and women, and the journey of women looking around and saying, oh, I want this partner. And then where are the men at? And then the men starting to work with themselves. And, Jesus, what's up, family? Yeah, sending a big hug. Speaking to, again, where do we meet up? Well, this is the time where we get honest with each other. Aloha, my dear. This is the time where you realize, yes, you can have a partner. You can. For the men, we're already in programs. I'm already seeing rapid shifts. It's pretty amazing. And I've been seeing it for years, but things are happening a lot faster now. These men are saying, yes, this is what I desire. This is how I want to show up. This is what I want to give to the world. This is the legacy that's important to me, which means this is the kind of partner that I desire, and I'm not bending on that. This is what I want to give to her. So they already know what they want to give in a relationship. And if it's not met, they're not even going to bother, because there are so many humans. And I would say the same for women. What is it that you want to give in a relationship? Are we ready to be honest? These men are ready to be honest, and they're also ready to call women on their shit. And they're open to being called on their shit. So it's a reciprocal thing. When you have men like this, and they some of the men don't care what a woman's history has been. So that door for real honesty is open, because often I have a past, and in my past, I've also been, I wouldn't say the side guy, but the guy that was like, oh, you do what you do. And I knew a lot more than some of these women's partners. Now I hold myself in a certain way, but I come into relationship and life with that knowledge and experience that a woman wants to be able to present herself. And she does want some kind of structure and a man that she can depend on, and someone who she can unleash all of what she is. And so there's that in between, right? And a man wants to be able to trust. He wants to be able to build for the most part. And we want to come into a space of healthy interaction for the future, and also to be able to actually give. We all want to give. A good portion, majority of us want to give to the woman that we love. It will come natural. So if you're in a relationship where someone's beginning to hold back, male or female, then there's more to look at. Doesn't mean that they can't overcome whatever's making them contract, but can't ignore it. It's worth speaking to. I am not for men going and laying in the bed with someone who they dislike, disdain. What the fuck is that? Also, same for women. My advice has been very much the same on both sides. It's been geared towards getting to the truth of what you actually feel, looking to see if this thing is aligned. Are you creating a space where you're being gaslighted? Are you gaslighting yourself? Ultimately, that's what it boils down to. And then what do you want to do next? What are you willing to do to experience healthy, fulfilling, delicious, satiating, expansive, right? The goal is to expand and aligned experiences in relationship. Relationship is a space for learning. I call it integrationship. Why? Integrating is like digesting. The body is a vessel. A vessel is a ship. So I'm actually keeping it, it's very right on line, and it's coherent, congruent even, and more so, I'm still focused on, okay, what to do. Now it's like, there's a lot going on right now. So who wants to be clear? Who's open to guidance? Who would like to journey and actually experience what you thought you could? Maybe you felt you couldn't, but it's never really too late. We still have breath, we have time, and these are going to be some interesting times coming ahead. So it may be really nice to have either the peace and the space to unfold into all that you are, or the ability to navigate with someone who's aligned, who makes you feel good. It's a good feeling. It's a good feeling, not just to have pet, but someone else who's aligned, so you have a little family unit or a grand family unit to be able to travel with, to look in their eyes. But when you go to sleep, there's nothing like going to sleep next to someone and knowing, man, this is a good person. Wow, I gave my all. I'm doing what I can to throw support to be in this dynamic, and the dynamic is so fulfilling to me in all the ways. And if there's some ways that are still, they need to be worked on, I'll do it for this person, and then coincidentally, if you've come to the space where you're not in that space, I think it's important that you be honest with yourself and that person. I at least have a great track record of identifying where I'm feeling some conflict, taking as much responsibility for it and still bringing it to the table, and then asking, hey, can this work? But if I come to the point where it doesn't work, then I've also made the hard decision. I haven't broken up with the person that I didn't love deeply since high school. I think the first time I did it was with a woman named Lucia. Some of you guys who've known me for years know who Lucia was, right? Girlfriend, I don't know, sophomore year, Lucia, Colombian, down in Hawaii or Palm Coast. She's good people. And it was like, oh, this dynamic is different. It's not working. We're not really happy. We can force it, but maybe we split. And, I was like, damn. But afterwards, I still had feelings. This happens, it's normal. But making a decision that's most aligned, you see that good things will happen in people's lives. So some of you who are in your 30s, 40s, 50s, if you made a good decision in your honest integrity and you look, people move. You make a move in the right direction for you, and people naturally fall into a better direction for themselves based on the choices that they choose to make. So I'm really grateful to have the opportunity and the awareness to really tune in and say, okay, I've got some choices to make. Are these the best? And I don't like moving through some of the hard times because it's never easy to start over. And there's always things that can, rotate in the mind. But what's beautiful is when you give time, you have the opportunity to see the fluctuation where things are on the upswing. And you can tune in with yourself if you're really open to tuning in and say, damn, I feel good right now. I can breathe. My body is at ease. I feel good about the relationships that I'm navigating, all the friendships that I have, the men that I'm around. The same equal opportunity on Ez's account. I want to be around and surrounded by and to grow with and to invest in good men. And I want good men to do the same with me. And I want to also extend that now into how they navigate relationship with the women that they're around and then with their children. The work that I focus on right now that I'm having the most enjoyment with is navigating with men who are kind of in a beginning stage of getting to know themselves and what they want in relationship and maybe newly broken up or really getting to feel into themselves. And then aloha, the other space is with fathers. Why? Because I am a father who's made a lot of mistakes in the past, but also was paying attention the whole time and having the opportunity to see really what happens and how to reframe. So where I come in is really wanting to speak to having a different understanding of your woman, of what it is to husband, the support that might be necessary that you didn't think was necessary, being able to rapidly reframe and then test yourself, not so much your partner, but to see if you can actually expand your view because you need a long, far out view, and also to strengthen yourself to handle the things that happen when you're in a relationship with another person. Especially a woman, especially during pregnancy, after the pregnancy, before the next set of kids, and before schooling. Those are really important times for all of us to have support, and especially the family unit. So I would say, for me, it's so important, now that I'm single and out of relationship, I don't have to focus on creating more family. I can focus on the families around me and trust. I trust I'm a good man. I'm a family man. When the time comes, when it's in alignment, because I know what alignment feels like now to a much deeper degree, then I can just navigate into that space. And if it's not in alignment, I'm willing to say no. I'm willing to defer what may seem like a short-term thing. Lena, how's it going? I'm speaking to some of what a man wants in relationship, and also how do we get to that honest space with male and female interactions, right? And so for me, the journey is, okay, what's the focus? As doing a lot of things, but the things that bring me the most joy, I'm getting to do right now. Let's throw Freestyle Fridays aside. Let's throw, aspirations of doing things with a spa aside. The core of my work is male fulfillment, the awakening, full spectrum, more expressed and fulfilled and honest and authentic and powerful man. And so if you've been through a war, you come back, you're broken in a way, no matter what anyone says. If you go out into the theater, you have to undo the mind fuck that's happened. I can help with that. If you're navigating an issue with drug addiction and addiction recovery, which more people are in an addictive state than they realize, well, you're navigating in a delusion. And also you're in a state that's calling you away from being able to be more full power. So of course that work I do with Iboga, and also just regular counseling. And I have family members who've been in this field, the field of addiction recovery. So I have other assets that I pull in, need be, with licenses and degrees and all these things. Well, that helps. And then also getting to focus on the family. If you want a family and you're in a relationship with someone and you're not feeling fulfilled in some area, of course, first we want to look at ourselves. But also, a lot of times people feel stuck and they lie to themselves. And I say, fuck that. And Lena, as well, I've made some difficult decisions, even though you didn't see all the things that I was into before, but we've had ample opportunities to talk and to share. And I'm real with it when I feel like, man, it's been heavy for me switching from space to space, but it's also been amazing for me creating that lightness energetically and having come into a new space. And the way that I got into this new space that I love so much was being honest with myself, was facing things head on, was speaking my truth, was being as compassionate as possible. I didn't just wake up one day and be like, it's over. I mean, I kind of did. I woke up one day and be like, okay, this is it. But it was a long process of thinking, of considering, of thinking about, when I come into a relationship with women, it's not just her I think about. I think about her mom, her father, her family, because that's how I was raised, and I'm not going to throw that away. I think about the unit. The unit will get Ez, and Ez will be responsible for the next generation, and I also take responsibility for the people who came before me. But now it's like, and let's just throw any of, nothing, no sway towards any of my exes. But what I'm teaching men and what I'm speaking to is, hey, you meet a woman, you're connected not just to her. So look at everything, take your time. And then also in the process, be willing to take responsibility for all of that. If something happens to her father, who's going to look after their assets, right? You're already looking after his main all special asset, which may not be his per se, but getting to steward the daughter. And then you have a family. So what do you need to do to prepare yourself, to strengthen yourself? What do you need to learn? This is where the projects that I'm doing, it's important to know how to have some mechanical instruction. It's my book. It's not here, it's upstairs. Just a typical house repair manual, knowing how to physically manipulate things and work on them, how to move a tree, how to cut something down, how to eat off the land, how to recognize certain plants as dangerous or safe, how to heal yourself, how to patch up a partner, being strong enough to lift up your partner, or maybe two people if you need. So these are the things that I would say would be awakened, simple, masculine, and then also bringing in that balance, right? And being able to receive the nurturing and the love. But men aren't, if you're not feeling fulfilled, if you don't feel seen in the relationship, and you're doing the work to look at yourself, and you still accept that, you're fucked up. And I mean this in a nice way. And I've been there. And when I say this, I mean, if you value yourself, and there's a way that you like to move in relationship, why are you accepting anything less than that? It's because you've been told, you've been made to believe, or you're used to. You don't value yourself. So as I've added value to how I see myself, I act in kind with that. And not everyone likes it. It doesn't feel good to them. But more often than not, people have come back to me from the past and been like, yo, Ezra, that was not comfortable what happened with us. But also, man, I really respect you for standing your ground. Well, guys, I have to tell you a secret. I've been standing my ground my whole life, the whole journey. And so it has not been easy. And it's been consecutively deeper levels of learning how insidious and how small and subtle and also overt as well as covert dynamics that are at play to test you, to just really see your resolve. You want to call yourself sovereign, men. We want to call ourselves kings. We want to be big bosses and all these things. What does it mean? You may go through a patch where you're not bringing in as many finances, but you have to have, it's important to have your mind on actually being able to give. So how do you fill your cup? This is a lesson I've learned, and I continue to learn because I'm unlearning things from before. I'm fortunate that I have, a past where I started off in a dark, dirty place, my journeys with like sex and partnership, so to say, and all this. And then I've come into the light. So I have that in my background. I've got bad boy in my background, and it's at my disposal. And I've also come to a place where I'm like, where is this necessary? Where is it not? And really, I really own it, so some people can't even tell. I have a lot of folks that talk about how feminine, Ez, you're so feminine. And I'm like, cool. Ez, you've been pretty rough right now. I'm like, cool. Either way, to me, it doesn't matter, right? I am what I am, like Popeye. But I know I have a full, very beautiful grasp on where I need to toughen myself up, need be. I, can be hyper aware and also very tender. I have a tender side, and I know that's necessary for a man to be tender and to nurture a woman when she's in her little girl, to nurture also other men because men need hand holding. But then to also say, men, stand up, and to really like put that bass in your voice and have them respond to the authority. Men don't respond to authority that's not there. That's it. And so this is why some of those roles that we talk about, are what they are. And so I'm okay with, I'm a traditional fella, and I say everyone do what you do. Why? Because I know all of it exists. But what I've decided is, hey, I'm heterosexual. That's me. I fit a box. I'm playing my square. I'm interested in creating a family unit, supporting that. I would love to see people who've committed to themselves, male and female, or whatever the fuck. Like, however you've chosen to commit, hold that commitment. If it's healthy for you. If it's not healthy, then back up. Let's unlearn. Let's do what we can to make it healthy, or let's extricate. Let's, pull you out of this so that you can take some time and think, so that you can then heal and step into a healthy dynamic. Why? Because healthy dynamics, every one healthy dynamic that a person has within themselves translates to how they will interact with the person and the party next to them, as well as nature. And then that begins to really affect the ecosystem. So I do work at the macroscopic and the microscopic. I keep my mind on the macro, and I'm also looking at the micro because it's all related. And so this is what I would like to share this evening. Of course, gratitude for the live that I got to share with Source. He's a brother and the ilk of a type of man that I've been waiting to work with for a long time, as well as, Juan. And so then I'm deciding with that, now if life is putting before me the kind of people that I want to be with, then I'm going to cut a lot of my other shit out and just focus, because I know I'm here to do things. I'm a serious man, haha, I joke, but I'm going to be even more serious because I feel like I'm not going to take for granted the gift of being able to work with a type of man that I haven't seen in a long time, because it's important. I like teamwork. I am a visionary person. I like a mission and to be able to accomplish the mission. And to do that, the components to accomplish the mission must be suitable. Okay, and now I'm with Beyond Suitable Men. I had a great talk with my brother Mandeep over at Radio Tulum. Of course, we'll continue to do things and we'll bring workshops there. But what was great was he was like, as I see you kind of spread, and I already came to this conclusion, but he man to man chatted with me. He was very kind, but also very direct. And I love that. I love being able to speak with men and having men in my life. The number may be smaller than you think, but who keep it real. It's not my job at this point. I'm not holding the reins. I'm taking the chains off Django, that is Ez, to really speak to and focus on what I need to do and to exemplify the full spectrum being that I am, and also continue to cultivate it. And then I need men who are capable, who are responsible, who are ambitious, and who, will check themselves so that we can all get to work. And if you're not in that space, especially some of the men who want to reach out and work with me, I can get you there, but it's going to take two of us. You're paying for me to stop the other things that I'm doing and to focus on you. I'm giving you the focus and the experience, and the intention and the structure, and what the men that are working with me are already receiving, and even the women that have worked with me, a shift in paradigm, the ability to reframe the why they would shift, and then being able to align that to the purpose. So the tangibles are, yes, the simple things I put, right? You're going to have better sex. You're going to have deeper love and compassion and passion. You'll be able to not waste energy on the things that, emotional headbutting that are unnecessary, because you know where you want to go before you even talk to the person on a daily basis. These men, we talk about their vision for their household like it's a business. That's important. And how they're going to run the household with their partner. How do they look at, I keep going back to, hey, how are you looking at your woman, the woman that you're with? How do you see her? Okay, why do you see her this way? Is that aligned with who you want to build with? Could it be you, or is it something that she's doing? And we go back. This is what men need. We need support, we need counsel. You think of Solomon. Solomon was known to be, however you look at the Bible, Shulamon, right? Known to be the wisest man, but Solomon had counsel. King Dawood, King David had counsel. King Arthur had counsel. Kings have counsel. They have men that they listen to. If you're a man and you have a fucking problem listening to other men who actually have tangible experience, in things that may have been even crazier than you, and you refuse to listen, then you may suffer in your own iniquity. I've been that man. I've been very stubborn, but I know that I chose to say, damn, I'm stubborn, dude. It's not going to work. This is how I repaired my relationship with my father, right? I was going through a hard time. I even put up a post about the typical way that we may navigate as Caribbeans and the abuse, what we would call this abuse nowadays. And it was abuse back then, but it was also from a space of wanting to protect your children and also unhealed trauma that wasn't looked at, and things happen so fast. One thing, you're getting your ass whipped by the previous generation. Why? Because they were just one generation from slavery, and also in a dictatorship and, foreign countries coming in there and invading in certain ways and upsetting your whole economy, fucking up your land and your abundance and impoverishing you. And then you also have your own issues that you haven't resolved. And then next thing you know, you're in another country with kids who are wilding out. And then we have the next generation now that I'm looking at that will make videos and torment their parents, push their buttons and record it because it's funny, but it's actually fucked up. Why? Because why would you want to do that? So you put your parents on blast, also your parents' fault because of how they raised you, right? And the dynamics that they had. But now there's an opportunity to look at it and say, this is ridiculous. Yes, it's endearing in some ways, but should the insanity be so endearing? And if you're able to articulate yourself, which I did to my father, I sat with my dad and said, hey, Dad, these things that were going on with us, this is how it affected me. I went and fought other people, and I regurgitated the things that you said to me when you beat me. And my friends think it's a joke, but they also thought, well, this is what's up with Ez? And I thought about that because it would come up for years. 20 years later, my friends are still making jokes about things that happened when we were kids, but they don't know, Ez was seriously fucked up. Bear with my French. And so me deciding to say, I'm not going to live like that. Never hit my daughter, not even one time, and I'm very proud of it. And I reasoned with her because I knew my father could have reasoned with me. I had to say, hey, Dad, I see what's going on with my friends. These guys are dead. This one's in jail. Everything you tried to warn me about that I wouldn't listen, I feel like you've been trying to get through to me. Here's the thing. I'm going to listen now. My ears are open. My eyes are open. I want to know you. And my request is don't touch me. Do not hit me again. I'll listen. We could reason. And that's all he needed to hear. And I was at a space where I was working out to kill my dad. Do you know what it's like to come to that place, to want to kill yourself and then to decide because you have a fire? So when I'm pushed to it, I'm not someone who's going to beat up myself all the time. I'm going to send it outwards. And this is the situation between so much. So you have cultures with multiple generations of repressed men, and they have the right, and then they don't have the right, and the situations happen. So you end up seeing things that are pretty crazy, but I think the understanding and the compassion lands us somewhere in the middle, and the middle would be actually asking your parents, right? We have all this parent work. We've got all this, what's the beautiful gathering that they have with the stars? What is it? Family constellations. I think that's amazing. You know what I think is also amazing along with family constellations? Talk to your fucking parents. Why? At least try it. And I'm not saying that many people haven't, and I'm not saying that family constellations doesn't work to a degree, but let's go back to being logical and add that in there. You can have a conversation with your parents and ask them why. Get some information for yourself and cultivate your own compassion. That's a lot of work. And then we can also do the metaphysical work to work with them and have other people channel the wisdom. But sometimes some of the things that we do in the spiritual community, even though we're working with quantum and we haven't really looked into what is the quantum, we've just been fed quantum, quantum, quantum. What is quantum? Exactly. Dig deeper into that, okay? And also, even if you don't know all the nuances, some of it still works. So we still deal with belief. Where do you want to be in relationship? I'll try to end with this question. How would you like to navigate? Women who are watching right now, those of you who are in relationships that you're unhappy, what do you really want to do? Do you know what makes your partner happy? Is he basic? Are you open to giving some of those basic things or going deeper? Do you know what makes you happy? Are you able to articulate that? Does that really make you happy? Do you want to navigate with someone? Because I'm cultivating men who are already in it, who are going to be good partners, because I'm making them focus on what is it to be a good partner. And the other thing that I want them to focus on is, not only am I going to be a good partner, but I need to be able to ascertain, assess, discern if my partner's full of shit. Because I don't want them to have partners that are full of shit. I don't want them to be with women who are going to be lying to them because they're so busy lying to themselves. I'm not going to encourage that. I'm going to encourage healthy. And healthy sometimes doesn't feel good. But the good thing about healthy is, as you might have seen even in the dialogue with my brother, who was given 180 days to live, all you have to do is start walking towards healthy and allow the rest to fall where it may. So if you've been in this journey of consistent manipulation, or you feel like you're not in an environment where there's men that you can trust, exercise your mobility. Start again within, and then identify how honest you're really open to be. Because that's the most beautiful thing, if you haven't experienced it before, when you can really open up to a man. I know what it's like for a woman to be honest and to open up. And it's such a beautiful thing that it can be felt in the man, and so that's the only thing I have a desire for in a partner, is someone who can be honest. It's a high value, honest as we can be with all of the lie that we live in, because I'm reasonable, right? Making the effort, and then to honor the container that we're seeking to create, and a woman who's honest with herself. Okay? I'm not going to settle for anything else. And that honesty with self can also be in the reflection. I'm open to it too, right? Where we reflect at one another and we say, she says, this is not congruent, what you're sharing, this, and I go, oh, okay, let me think about that, and I take action because I'm for that. And I expect the same. There is an expectation, and I can speak to it, and I'm willing to work towards it. Then we can build something, right? And so there are a lot of men also in the space that we're working with that are doing things that are apparent, and this is the space. I'm holding the space for us to come to some clarity. And the guys that I'm working with in the 8-week programs, doing the blueprint sessions, and even in the men's groups, bringing up topics for them to really begin to show up even deeper. That we're bringing in the metaphysics now. We're bringing in Tantra from a really aligned perspective, well thought out perspective, and again, building confidence and understanding impermanence, and then really structuring and having a firm idea of the leadership. Who do you want to be in a relationship as a man? Who are you open to be? How adaptable are you able to be? How flexible? And where are you going to be firm? And you as a man, you own that shit. And this is what you present. So she knows, hey, I can rely on this man for this. When he says this, his fucking word is bond, as they say. His word stands. I tell someone, I made a post the other day about the spa. And of course I was asked to take it down, because it may have been too aggressive for what the spa believes in. And I said, no, I'm not taking it down because that's my word. I put it out there. I meant it when I said, don't come to the spa overly aggressive as a man and think you can take it out on the women, because then the rest of the community needs to know about it. And if they're afraid to call you out, I won't be. If I do some shit like that, call me out because the correction is needed. Okay? It's easy for me to say that because I've worked on my character, and it's not to say that I don't have violence within me, but I navigate and know how to direct it. And so men who are watching, if you watch this long, I want to encourage you to really get honest with yourself. If you need help getting honest with yourself, if you're in a dynamic right now that if you're in a sexless marriage, and maybe you even think, maybe my thing don't work. Well, we can learn, we can dig into that. If you're in a space where you're not feeling the abundance, where you're falling out of love with your partner, but you're in a committed container, of course, my advice would be to really dig into self, to have, a reflection, come into a container, give it 8 weeks, connect with the brother who wants to see you thrive in a family setting, to not throw everything away, but then also be willing to come into your truth. And if your truth is it's not going to work, then don't settle. This is not the first time that people have split. There are beautiful ways that you can split, or that you can, come into a new version of the relationship. You can even say goodbye to an old version and recreate the relationship with your partner. There's so many options. So don't feel like your back's against the wall. It's probably your face that's against the wall, but turn around and see all the world that's there for you. And also with women, maybe I'll open some space to work up with like 1 or 2 women in an 8-week, because the same principles that I'm using with the men, I can tailor them because I've done it before to have a container. But more so, I want the man body man. It would be a woman who wants to work with men that I'd be more inclined to work with, in that period of time. And also for the men, like, no bullshit. You're coming to learn. Okay, so if you want to work with me, regardless of any hue in your human, you're coming to me because you can feel that I have something to share with you, and I'm fall in line and you listen and reflect on what I share. You do the homework, and put the time in, because all the men that are doing that, they're moving at light speed, and I'm also doing the homework with them too. So I'm continuing to grow. That's the offer, the appreciation, actual, authentic, fulfilling, juicy, healthy, expansive relationships that pour into legacy. I'm now focused on the next generation. This voice of mine that you're hearing on Instagram is preparing. It needs to echo forward and call into this realm the next group of children and lives and, beings, not just light beings, but enlightened beings who are ready to come in. I can feel them. And so I feel a beautiful pressure to unfurl myself in service to them so that they can hear. They're listening, because I felt this in ceremony, so they can hear, okay, it's time to come in and prepare. And also that the people that are here are going to recognize them for who they are and make a change so that they can do the work that they're called to do. We need to still protect them as they're getting to know and figure out how to use their apparatus, their body. And that hasn't been done so far. So far, through many generations, it's been more of a smaller minority who can look at their children as, sages and wisdom bodies, and to actually be able to see them beyond their journey in trying to figure out their phalanges and their body, and to create a healthy environment to incubate them in one version of their childhood. I say this because I also know, hey, we're in a version of childhood as well as eternal beings. And so we go before, we prepare the space. There's a lot of things going on right now that are taking people away from preparing the space. I will not be swayed at this time. And during these times when I know more, like to focus more. Same thing happened in COVID. In the beginning of COVID, I locked myself in a room and I began to read 15-dimensional, dynamics like physics, and started to look into fringe things that came in handy as soon as I made it to Tulum. I didn't even know about Tulum until maybe 3 weeks before I came out here. I didn't even know what a Tulum was. And so I'm preparing to expand and step into the next stage. And I'm going to surround myself with aligned people, men and women, who can hear what I'm saying, who can receive, and who will do something, and who will take what I'm saying, so that the next generation, and even in your household, in your life, you feel empowered and activated to have aligned dynamics, to have an aligned relationship. You can shift the relationship you're in. It doesn't mean throwing it away, right? Because where's it going to go? So we don't really throw away relationships. We shift positions in our orbits. If you want to be with the person you're with, and you both can establish something, then you'll make it. Even if you need to go this way for a little bit, but if the intention of the heart and the work, you're willing to do that work, then it's fine. If it's not aligned, you'll be honest with yourself. Men, don't fuck around with women's time, right? If you know she's no good for you and that's not a person that you want to be with and build with, it may not feel good. She may be unhealthy and want to cling, but you do what you can to separate yourself, because you open up a door for the woman who's really aligned for you to come into your life, and you open up a door for that person to have reflection and hopefully to identify what's aligned for her so that she can receive it, so that we can respect their time. I don't do that. I don't waste time. If even I've dated older women, younger women, and certainly whatever the case that may be who's attracted to me, I really contemplate them after every interaction. And I'm like, yo, am I a benefit to this person? Is this woman made better for being in my presence? and also what's my intention. Like I grill myself on my intention. No one's gonna be ahead of me and be like, your intention's foul. I'll be like, yo, my intention's foul. Can't even do it. And so there's women who I attracted a certain part of me. I don't even entertain them anymore. Like I've had some really fun times, but in those times they weren't healthy. They weren't aligned for the man that I'm called to be and the things that I need to do moving forward. So I'm willing to I avoid some women. I can be in their presence and be like, oh yeah. Then I'm like, nah. Why? Because it's an ephemeral thing. Okay? And so this is what I'm cultivating in the man. So women, when you have your partners, know that this is a person that you're going to be with, who's choosing you, who wants to witness you, who will show up for you, who will cultivate what's necessary, not just for you, but for your progeny. And all they want from you, if you can muster that shit up, is ownership, the willingness to be honest, because that's when a man relaxes. Neither one of you can relax when both of you are being dishonest. You might be in a situation where you're manipulating, where it's like a manipulation. I was like, hey, he's my thing for this. He's my thing for that. This is the F-boy, whatever terms you guys are using nowadays. My entanglement. And guess what? I've been holding space for people, from pimps to prostitutes and everything in between. And there's a lack of the bad boy, just like Sashi said, and the nice guy. Everyone's empty, right? But then you have the people who are seeking something. They're aligned. They're happy with it. They're willing to deal with the things that come in the way. These are people who are tasting fulfillment. I'm single right now, but I'm fulfilled. This is where all this energy is coming from. I'm taking my energy back from things that aren't aligned. And then soon I'll go quiet, sort of quiet. It's time for me to speak as well. But I can tell, look in my eyes, feel it in my field. Those of you who can feel. How many times am I showing up in a day on Instagram? And I'm getting my other work done, right? Because I'm doing what's aligned. So the access to energy that I have is remarkable. I'm going to make myself go to bed instead of studying. I'm going to read some Gurdjieff and some Yogananda because that's what's coming to my field now, but not too much. And then I'm going to go to bed, and then I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm going to hit it like it's nobody's business. Why? Because I'm on the path and I'm getting more clarity as to how I want to show up for these men and what I'm going to cultivate with myself. Fulfillment will give you the energy. It will add onto itself. So I want to encourage that. And it will allow, when I give to a woman, when I sit with a woman, when I sit with the woman who has my attention, you know how good that's going to feel to her? When she opens to me, do you know what it's going to be like? For her to really just melt and know that, oh my God, I'm opening to this man, but he loves me. He wants to see all of me. He wants to feel all of me. It's not just about him. He's gonna take pleasure in really connecting with all that I am. Sometimes, I know it's already, it scares women, but if you're steadfast, you let them move through their fear, and they develop the courage to open up. And I do this with the men, okay? Courage is something you cultivate, even in a relationship with a male and a female. And something has to be stable for you to cultivate that courage. Or you get discouraged as opposed to encouraged, okay? All right, if you've received and you feel this was a good live, feel free to share with people who you know might benefit from this. I'm going to be very honest moving forward in terms of my experience, and I'm open to any questions. I want you guys to feel like, hey, I'm going to be open to people talking whatever smack they feel to talk, because that gives me an opportunity to reflect, and I'm not a shy back guy. I'm not going to get entangled in too many back and forths, but I'll just tell you how it is, and because that's where I'm at, I won't have to repeat myself too many times. But I'm open to the dialogue because I want the truth to be revealed, and this is the opportunity. I will save this, and I'm going to add it to my YouTube. I have a button. Instagram isn't the space, so thank you for everyone who spent this time with me. I'm going to upload this maybe tomorrow, and I'll add it to YouTube. Phil, what's up, my brother? Love you, man. Miss you guys. Just wrapping this live, but I've been speaking to what we want in relationships and what we haven't gotten, and speaking to ownership and authenticity for the men that I'm working with. I've been doing 8-week programs with a lot of the men, not just the men's groups, which is kind of a mini insight and blueprint programs, but the 8-week program is where it's like kind of what you do, but as more of a fiduciary in a sense, but it's like consigliere fiduciary for their relationship, masterminding, long-term plan for how you want to show up with your partner and what does fulfillment look like so that you don't settle for BS. Because when you're fulfilled within yourself and you budget your time and your energy, right? And then the money's another thing, which I definitely refer people to you, then you can create. There's so much more out there, just like with the estate planning and everything that you do. I'm just spitballing a couple things, but the same thing applies to relationship. And a lot of times people are operating in previous paradigms in relationship, and they don't know that there's so many options out there, but options for them to get clear and to be consistent and to build a strong foundation that is future-minded, legacy-minded. So I've been on a long journey. Philip is someone who's known me. Phil, he's actually my friend who I was talking about how I would kind of lose it when I'd get in a fight and start regurgitating things my father said. Here's proof. So it's amazing. Phil, type a little something in, if you could remember anything that I said back in the day, because he's a witness and also one of the men whole life that I would fight for at any time. He's much bigger than me now, so I'm sure he can hold his own. I love you, brother. If you're available tomorrow, are you open for a call? I'd like to catch up. There it is. Respect me as a man. I guess I'm still saying that, but I want to earn it. So I'm gonna take a screenshot if I can. All right. Why? Because he was there. This is a live witness, so I'm not blowing smoke. Though, I've connected with another brother from Georgia, but also who's out of Miami. We're going to be doing some workshops together, and this is alternative healing. You know that I work with psychedelics as well, not to get people high or to blast off, but to do somatic healing, to move through repressed states of being, to do neural repatterning, and then I incorporate some of the other things that you see in the retreats to help rebuild a person, so that if I'm working with a soldier who's navigated things, I can hold space for whatever needs to come out, and we fill them in again, and then there's that time to recontextualize and phase them back into what we call regular society, if possible, and to prepare them in case they choose to go back, And then also for people with suicide and depressive tendencies, because I've navigated all these things. I have the experience of coming back, even psychological breaking, putting my mind back together. So I love you, brother. Thank you for typing that in. Shoot me a text when you get a chance. I've got a new number, so I'll send that to you as soon as I finish this, and then I'd love to just catch up. So I'm really trying to craft a life that's very honed in on that men's work, the family work, and so I also probably need to refer some of the men to you, because the financial part is something I think we could really learn a lot if you're open to that. And that would be part of some of the upcoming retreats or the mastermind. Maybe the last segment of the mastermind is for them to look at their businesses. Thank you. And then I'm also, I'm happy with what I'm seeing here. And this is what's going to allow me then to do the other thing. Because after Dan, transition, I think that hit me a little hard, even though we haven't spoke about it. But just thinking, like when I was in Florida last time, I really wanted to say what's up. He was on my mind to see. So it's really easy to get caught up in trying to make these lives for a brother like myself to be traveling and I'm creating community. I am a part of the community here in Bali, in Thailand, and like these places that I lived. And yet still, I came from a community. And so I would really love to be able to connect with some of my lifelong friends more often, and also at least be reachable, and support them, because we all go through hard times. And even good times, so I want to celebrate more too. So I love you, brother. Thank you for tuning in. I was looking at the video from the first Freestyle Friday when you called up, that dinner event, and so I was so happy to have you on there. And I don't know who you were at the table with. It looked like BJ's family, but maybe not. But that was nice. So I'm always on, and I'd love to have you on and to talk about the work that you do at some point if you're open to it. I've got a podcast going now called the Obsidian Soul Lounge. I've listed 2, and I have a YouTube page, so I'd love for you to check them out, play them in the background, because I'm going to get into some fringe knowledge as well, and have some really special folks who can tie and demystify the metaphysics, the unseen aspect of the sciences that govern the way that we navigate in the reality, and in a way that's beneficial and practical, not just talking shit. I'm going to send it your way. Okay, well, I got to rest. Love you, Phil. Love you, family. Thank you for everyone that tuned in. And again, put your comments. I'll save this here so you can add comments. And if there's any questions or anything that you'd like to address, if you know of some brothers who want to work together, this will be the time in the next coming weeks as I'm completing some of the 8-week programs for the guys so they can take a breather and then start it. And I do this, I continue the whole year round and maybe take a month off, maybe if I go to Europe. But it's been beneficial for me, and I see what it's cultivated, so I could see that being a benefit. Some of the guys go 16 weeks. I also have another guy who's going 16 weeks. And then I have, 8-week, 1 year, 6-month program. But I think the 8-week is the best thing for people to start off with. And then when they're done, when their ears are done smoking and their whole life is shifted, they have a little bit of time to breathe before they go in deeper to the point of retreat. Okay. Love you guys. Aloha. Peace. Wholeness and balanced vibrations. There we go. Thank you.